we are back for episode 11. It's me
Yeah, I
and
got the balloons.
me and it's me and Shorty as always, and we got a fresh face here. We got Gabe Rednose. Gabe, he's had some history with MMA Unhinged. We've actually thrown a couple of interviews out for him. Not me personally, but another guy from our outlet. So, Gabe, welcome, and got two fellow fighters here. So, Gabe, welcome, and Shorty, we're back.
I guess. I don't know, dude. I'm at my old age now. I keep on forgetting I'm senile. I'm 32. It feels weird. Everyone's like, dude, you're just 32. I've had 42 MMA fights, plus 50 in kickboxing, Muay Thai, 100 in wrestling. Like, I feel like shit. Like, it's great. So, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I went to roll around to help a fighter who might be a last minute replacement for next week in February 10th in Las Vegas. And he's a welterweight. So given I'm a fly bantamweight, so obviously there's some age or some weight discrepancy there. But I was like, dude, my fucking back hurts. Oh my gosh! Like any little thing. And so with that being said, because of your ADHD, Gabe Rednose, why do they call you Rednose? Because I do see a little red on it, but is it because of that? Do you just not move your head? Why do they call you it?
Well, that's actually my last name. I'm almost half Native American, part of the Cheyenne Arapaho tribe, and that's just the name that I got blessed with, I guess.
Well,
Is
when
it
we
bad? Is it bad that I want to be stereotypical? I was like, all right, Red Nose, are we doing something Native American here? Well, I'm like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but and that's like, oh, you know what? I don't need to say anything. I'm good.
No, we're good. We're good. I get it a lot, man. If people get confused because my skin complexion is so light, a lot of people don't realize that I'm Native American. So people are like, "What the heck, red nose? That guy," they don't put two
Have
and two
you?
together. So
Oh no, 100%. Have you seen the movie? It's on Apple TV. It's with Leonardo DiCaprio. I can't remember what it is, but it's like a 3 hour movie about like the
yeah,
whites taking the Native Americans' money slowly and like just getting married with them. So when they kill them off, they just take their money and they get all the oil money.
I haven't seen it, but that sounds about right.
Dude, it like you're watching like, oh hey, Leonardo DiCaprio. You're like, oh dude, he's a dick in this movie. Like it's just it's crazy. It is a very very crazy movie, but obviously it happened in real life, you know.
Of
yeah.
course,
And
yeah.
and I'm not saying this is you specifically, but it's like you might be a byproduct of that, of just the background of Native Americans, eventually whites coming on in to be able to take whatever, and it's just like that movie's tripped out. I can't. Let me. I'm gonna look up this movie. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
You guys continue. I'm gonna look this movie up.
yeah, no, I want to know. I feel like I can't remember what the name is, but I have not seen it yet. I really do want to watch it, and it doesn't surprise me. Like that's what we've done. I mean, I give you a little bit of history. I don't know how much you guys know about the history with residential schools in Canada. I don't know if it ever touches American news, but
Oh God, no.
basically, so I'll give you a little rundown. So in Canada, and I didn't even know really about this. All I knew was in Canada too, we were just as nasty as the natives. It was terrible. Like we call them obviously indigenous people here.
Yeah.
But we were just as nasty. Like that's what the white man did. And so basically what happened was I think I don't know what time it specifically started. It might have been the late 1800s. But what happened was so obviously there was just people living on their land. Well, what happened was the Catholic Church in Italy, they had this deal with the Canadian government that they thought the best thing to do was to take the Aboriginal or the Indigenous kids from their families, and they would just yank them away. They never see their kids again. They put them in these schools. They would cut their hair. They would like make them white, right? And they would their essentially their objective was take these kids, put them in schools, teach them how to speak English and all that stuff, and teach them how to be white. And but it wasn't even just that. I mean, they were abusing them. The priests were sexually assaulting the kids, like they were abusing the kids, like the girls were getting abused. And there also the kids were dying. Now, not saying that they actually killed the kids, but it could have been from malnutrition. It could have been from overtime abuse. But they were finding all these mass graves of all these kids, and now a lot like the government, like they're getting in deep hot shit because yeah, they're finding all these graves and these descendants or these or the people that are old enough. Like the residential schools were still going around in like the 70s, so this is how recent it is, and it's wild that the shit that was happening and Canadian government was just okay with it. Now, we can't blame the people in charge now. All we can do is say we learn from this and we can't let this happen again.
We
Um,
hope.
but at the same time, it's disturbing that the Canadian government thought that was okay. Like you just yanked these kids from these parents. And a lot of times too that they allowed these things to happen, these kids, and it was like, sorry. And the survivors are coming out and saying, so what do we get from this? And I guess I'm sure they got money compensation, but that's not that you can't take money doesn't fix
Nah,
anything. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
wild that
that was
Shorty
their
was bringing
life,
that
you
up.
know.
Yeah.
Took their life away, you know.
well,
Exactly. And
Gabe.
a lot of those
Are,
kids are messed up too because they're messed up, traumatized, and a
Of
lot of them
course.
became alcoholics and were on drugs because they didn't know how to deal with it. And
mhm.
it's sad, man. It's disturbing.
Yeah,
Gabe,
I agree.
are you from the States?
Yes, sir. I live in Oklahoma.
Okay, so definitely a lot of natives there, at least in that like kind of region, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
yeah, like with Luke, the story you're kind of explaining, dude. The U.S. obviously we don't teach much history outside of the states. It's very this. So when you're like, oh, I don't know how much you guys know about Canadian history, it's like, yeah, no,
None.
yeah, we don't know
None.
anything. Like,
No dice.
like we know you have
I
free
know.
health insurance. That's it, but we don't know the catches of it. You know, like
Yeah.
that's as far as we go.
Pros, cons, no idea. The only reason I know a little is because my boss is actually from Canada, so he actually just got back from being up there. I've worked for him now for 5 years, so I know a little bit just from talking with him. But outside of that, zero learning from school, zero knowledge from school teaching me that. You know.
Dude,
We
all
don't
I know is red and white, a maple leaf. You guys like hockey. Drake is from there apparently, and that's pretty much about it. Like and free health insurance. Like there's nothing you like, and you guys we're stereotypical. Obviously, when we look at different countries, we're like, oh, they're this, they're that.
Yeah.
Like Canadians, all we think about, at least for me, my image is like the soldier with the red suit and the big hat. Unless I'm just thinking of the UK, but
RCMP,
like
man.
yeah, like that's all I think about, So yeah, I don't know anything else besides like, oh, Canada is very diverse and has different people. Like, what? I didn't know that. It's like I know there's Eskimos
Well,
from there. That's all I got.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, like I remember I was about 16, 17. I was flirting with some girl in the hotel room, and or not hotel room, sorry, like in like the lobby of this hotel. And I was on some vacation with my family, and so we're shooting the shit. And she's, "Oh, you're from Canada? That's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah." And anyway, so we're kind of going back and forth. And she's like, "So like, you don't like live in igloo, right?" I'm like, I
Mm,
turn to her, I'm like, "You're not fucking serious right now, are you?" And she says, "No, no, no. Like it must be cold where." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it gets cold in the winter. Like I just live on
yeah.
the other side of Michigan." And she says, "Oh, so you don't have snow all year round?" I'm like, "Not where I live. I mean, maybe somewhere else in Canada up north, like really up north." And she's,
Yeah.
"So you don't live in igloos?" I'm like, "No, fuck no. I don't." And yeah, it's crazy how some people actually believe we live in igloos. I'm like, "No, I live in a house, like a normal house, like anywhere else." And yeah, like the thing is, I find too, like what Shorty was saying, like American news is American news, and you don't hear anything about Canada unless it's like some crazy shit that Trudeau did, or he screwed up Canada, or he made Canada look bad. It's not going to be on CNN or Fox or anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
don't quote me.
we don't know much.
Don't quote me. I think it's Alberta is where he's from.
Trudeau.
Okay.
No, 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 no. My boss, Alberta.
Oh, your boss. Yeah, Alberta. Yeah, that's kind of in the middle of Canada. It's like the Midwest of
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
believe that's where he just got back
Also,
from.
also that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio is Killers of the Flower Moon. So,
Oh,
fun
yep.
fact, if you want to
Yep.
watch it, it is an
Yep.
Apple exclusive, but it is a
I
super long movie. I was on like an 18-hour flight, so I was like, all right, I got time. But it is a very long movie, but one of those where you get sadder as the movie goes on because you just see all the deception slowly coming more into play, and you're like, yo, this is fucked up. This reminds me of my last relationship. Ugh.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's. I heard that movie is pretty real though. I mean, it's like really opens people's eyes. I never
It's
got
a
to
different
watch it, but
perspective.
I
It's a
will
different
for sure
perspective,
watch it.
that's for sure.
I will for sure watch it pretty soon.
So, Luke,
Yeah.
quick question: did you by chance watch the UFC fights in the UK this past weekend?
Yes, I did. And as you know, I've been like, this has been followed up. I wanted to talk about it because anybody else I talk to about it, they disagree and they're trashing Belal Muhammad. Gabe, did you watch the fights at all?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
so you're on page with us. Okay, so I gotta get this out. I am super freaking happy our boy Belal won. I was like, it's been a while since I watched a fight, and usually like because I would consider he was the underdog, in terms of like betting, and I don't remember a lot. It's been a long time since I've watched a fighter where I like actually got excited watching them winning the fight, and I'm like, okay, shit, like hold on here, and it really for me like I wouldn't say he had more significant strikes than Leon, but you watch him and like you watch him and he put the greatest game plan against
Dude, it
Leon
was a
Edwards. Like
masterpiece.
Leon just looked like he didn't know what to do. And I honestly thought
Mhm.
there's a chance that Leon's striking's really good. I thought maybe he might catch Bilal coming in or something, but no, he just seemed like he just didn't have an answer. And Bilal just put on the perfect performance. Yeah,
Bro.
it wasn't the most exciting, and I don't care this shit. Who says whatever? Oh,
Yeah.
it was boring. It's like,
Only
dude,
casuals say
if
that,
you
bro. Only casuals say that.
exactly, but if
Mhm.
you actually understand fighting, he did exactly what he needed to do to win
Yep.
the fight. And
Yep.
sometimes that's what you got to do to win a belt. Because no, he's not going to get in a striking match with Leon, and
No.
that's smart of him to do that. And I was just and when he started throwing some uppercuts at him, I was like, oh shit! I was like, fuck, he might get him. And I think he had Leon rocked in the first round, I believe. It might have been the first round. He had him rocked, and then he tried to, and then he went and then some of those high crotch, man, he like threw him on his head. Oh, it was awesome. And I'm just happy for Bilal. Like,
Me too.
I mean, he went through everybody, and that's the way you do it. You go through every single contender, or you go through everybody in the top 10, and you win the belt. And that's how it should be done. And I'm just more than happy for Bilal. He deserves it. And Shorty,
Yep.
I mean, you're a Chicago boy. You know, what was your initial reaction when you watched him win? Watch him through the fight.
Well, the first fight was a tough one because I think Bilal ended up trading with him a little more, and he took a little more damage than obviously this
Yep.
last fight.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But
Agreed.
seeing what he did to change everything up, because honestly, watching the first fight, you're like, okay, I can see where Leon's coming from. Hey, wasn't piecing him apart, but I was hitting him a lot. I was doing lots of things. Yeah,
Mhm.
he was still pushing forward, but it's semi slowly leaning towards a one sided fight. But dude, Belal took that eye poke. He's like, man, it is what it is. Obviously, I'm mad. I'm upset. I wanted this title shot. I had to fight everyone else after that. And look how much he improved. He increased his wrestling. He improved his striking because of his wrestling. And his
Yep.
gassing was relentless. It was like the Kobe Covington when he was just pushing forward, Kamaru Usman when they're pushing forward. But he was smart with it. He wasn't just trying to manhandle him. He was doing what he needed to do in those certain positions. I remember talking to Tyron Woodley before when he was champion, before Kamaru Usman. I mean, sadly, sometimes I speak the truth a little too much, or I'm very opinionated too openly. And hey, man, like no offense, but do you ever feel a certain way about your fights? Because I mean, to me, some of them are boring, and I know like you want to get finished. And I know it's obviously sometimes out of your control, but don't you sometimes want to do more action? You go, Shorty, look, I got a family, I got kids, I got all these things I'm trying to do in my life. What do I have around my waist? I'm like, well, you have the belt. He goes, yeah. So what's it matter about your opinion? Yeah, I want you to watch me fight. I want you to do this. But eventually, even if you hate me enough, you're still gonna watch my fight, hoping I lose. And no matter what, as long as I win, that paycheck says I'm the champion. That paycheck says
Yeah.
double because I got the win bonus. That paycheck says whatever. Yeah, I might not get fight night bonus and I might not get knockout or submission, but I can't force something when this is the main important image. And for Bilal, yeah, he could have done more things possibly to try to get a finish, to try to do this, try to do that. But dude, when you're at the pinnacle of your career, one, it's really, really hard to do against high level people. But then two, as long as the job gets done, I don't care if it's done with 1%, or 100%. As long as it gets done, dude, well done.
Mhm.
So, and he accomplished something that not many people obviously have done before, especially with the champions trying to rematch Leon Edwards, and they both failed. So, dude, Kamar or for Bilal, I'm really happy for him. He's also the oldest welterweight champion, which gives a lot of hope to guys who are in the mid 30s or even late 30s. And I Lewis Taylor is his coach. Now, Lewis Taylor was a guy from Chicago that was just, MMA was still really picking up in Chicago. So Lewis was like that last guy to kind of not make it out, but make it out because he ended up winning the PFL, the very first PFL tournament. And then next year, sadly, they didn't have a tournament, so he didn't get a chance to fight again. But he won the tournament, being the oldest guy in the division, knocked out everyone. It's like, man, Lewis Taylor, this was his time to shine, $1 million. And then you see Bilal, for me, Lewis Taylor was doing all these local events, then Belal and I would follow him. Then Belal was the main event in Titan, and I was maybe the second fight of the night, opening the card. And I was just like, oh, dude, I'm happy for Belal. Then Belal wins by a knockout, surprising everybody. I think Bilal's whole career, especially with me following him, he's always been not even the underdog. It's people label him as the underdog because they don't know who he is, especially as a Muslim or an Arabic fighter. Like, no one, at least Americans, no one cares for that. They want to know about the big names, And this guy, he came up and showed up in every single fight he's done. What was the guy from the east side of the state that he knocked out that was undefeated? I can't remember his name, but he ended up knocking out Sean something. Yeah, and he knocked out Sean Brady. It's like, dude,
Sean Brady, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that's awesome. No one expected that, but Belal just shows up. And I know people who've trained with Belal, and they're like, dude, I used to beat him up in practice. I'm like, it doesn't matter in practice. Belal is doing whatever he needs to do in practice to get better. He swallows his pride if he needs to. And then, dude, when he goes in there, he shows up. And if he's going on a shield, which he had before, he goes on the shield. So, dude, I'm really happy for Belal. Obviously, I was rooting for Curtis Blades as well because it was two Chicago boys as the co and main event. But man, it is what it is. Sadly, it's part of the sport, but it's also an honor to make it that far, especially for both Belal and Curtis to make it there multiple times, to be at that pinnacle. Like, dude, you know how hard it is to make it there? So as much as people want to say all the negative stuff, like, congratulations to both of them. Obviously, the most congratulations to Belal. And, we see what happens next. And I think, especially right now with everything happening in Gaza and Palestine, like, he's an image to his people, and it's a really good time for him to win. Dana definitely didn't look too happy after, but dude, it is what it is, But the other fight I did want to talk about is Manel K versus Muhammad Mokaev. If you see, if people don't know, Muhammad Mokaev just got released from the UFC. I personally believe it's unfair, but I also was, But I also was treated unfair with the UFC. I lost one fight in my entire career. Was 1-1, 2 fight short notices in 2 months total, and I got cut. It is what it is. But then years later, Mokaev, I treat him like my little brother. He's like a 2.0 of me, but younger. He's 23 years old, and he's undefeated. I believe he's 35-0 or 34-0 from amateur to pro. He's beaten. I believe he's 7-0 with 5 finishes in UFC. And they said, oh, we cut him because he's too hard to handle. He fought Manel K, but the UFC PI sucker punched him. I was like, wait, didn't Masvidal sucker punch Leon Edwards and actually cut him up? Didn't Masvidal also attack Colby Covington outside of the UFC at some random restaurant? Hasn't Nate Diaz randomly punched people, out of nowhere?
Conor
McGregor punching an old man at a bar, so that's the sad part. It does become biased, but here's, at least to me, the biggest difference. And I know Ray Seffel said, and he goes, hey man, I heard from people that he's too hard to handle. We're not interested. I look at it this way. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, Masvidal, Eileen Perez and Jocelyn Edwards fighting at the PI, and then they fought, and then everything was fine. Like, that was actually a serious fight. Other people, they're all, for the most part, were still in the UFC with no problem. They use it as hype, and they promoted the fuck out of it, and they made money. The difference was they're all in their late 20s, if not in their semi-30s, in their earlier mid-30s. Those are adults, full-grown adults. Muhammad Mokaev, no offense to him, he's still a kid, that needs to be put in his place. And I think him being released was too much of a harsh punishment. I think maybe a suspension or a pay deduction, or do something where you suspend them for 2 months. Hey, you can't fight for 6 months. Dude, I think that is fair compared to you just cut him. No offense. What is he going to do now? Bellator, PFL don't have a flyweight division. The UFC doesn't want him anymore for whatever reason when he, again, has 5 finishes. And then who else? So please, I don't know who. Go ahead.
One. He'll have to go to one, I think.
He has no choice, or to re-sign with myself and be a part of Brave. But also for him, it's like he can fight for the Brave belt, all that stuff. Brave is still a semi-new promotion to ONE FC and all these other promotions. So can they afford him? Can ONE FC handle Mokaev as well? So that's the hard thing is for Mokaev. Now he's going to have to go to the eastern part of the world, fight for Brave, fight for ONE FC, maybe fight for Risen or Rising, however you call it. And, that's but also look at, dude, Muhammad Mokaev, 23 years old with 1.1 million followers, and you're going to release him from the UFC? Like, what
that's
kid?
Insane,
and
man.
again, I say and I say that respectfully because he's a young adult, but like he's still mentally a kid. You know, you got to think about it. This guy has so much power and leverage in his career, dude. I barely have 38,000 followers. This guy has 1.1 million followers at 23 years old. You know, obviously living at the prime of his career, and he's not even anywhere close to his prime. He believes he's a shit, which, hey, in all technicality, rightfully so. And I think that power got to his head, and obviously was doing some obscure shit, and you know had to face the consequences. But you also have to look at he's a young kid. Like you're gonna make those dumb mistakes, and I hope that Dana and the UFC in general will give him a second chance because you know he's done
Me too.
everything right. Just you know, it so happens that some people don't like his style and like his antics, and they cut him because of it, while other people have done the same, if not more.
I mean, dude, at the UFC level, you would think a win is a win. Like, would you not agree with
Yeah.
that? Like, you're fighting the best people in the world. Like, I mean, obviously styles are different and different styles clash, and people like more exciting fights, of course. But I mean, you're fighting the best people in the world. I mean, a win is a win in my book. You know, I've always been told 2 checks are better than 1. So you casuals and whoever else can say whatever they want. 2 checks are better than
Mm-hmm.
1.
Well, look at Gabe. Obviously, you're a fighter as well. And how about this? Just a fun question. In all your fights, do you have 100% finish rate?
Yes, sir.
Do you have 100% finish rate in all your fights?
Yes,
Man
sir.
ain't
Well, fuck
bullshitting.
you. I was like, well, fuck you. All right. Well, wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that answer. But the hard part is most people don't have, unless they're fucking Mr. Red Nose here. Most people, it's like, you know what? Fuck this interview. No, most people don't have 100% finish rate, especially when they get to a certain level in their career. Like all
Of
these guys are
course,
good.
yes.
All of them are trying to go for a finish, and sadly,
Of
you know,
course.
dude, it just doesn't happen. So, you know, except for Mr. Red Nose, who's fucking perfect. After that, it's like. You know, when you get to a certain level and you're facing top 5 guys in the UFC, hey man,
Of
eventually
course.
some
Yeah,
guy's gonna slip from your fingers. So,
of
and
course.
worse is the worst, like you said, the people on the couches or even Dana or whoever. It's like, dude, you know how hard it is that we work to get this, and trust me, we're
Yeah.
always going for the finish. It just, yeah, dude, it doesn't happen.
I disagree with it, man. I agree. I feel like it was just way too harsh of a punishment. I mean, regardless, you know, I feel like he didn't cause that much trouble compared to what, like you said, other people have. You know, I just I think too many people were in Dana's ear, and he was like, you know what, it is what it is. You know, that's. I mean,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did completely disagree. I think it's really unfair, like you said. You know, I mean, all these other guys get so many different chances. You know, whether it's popping for PEDs or doing something stupid or fighting or whatever, you
yeah.
know, and they get multiple calls back and multiple opportunities. Like this guy messes up 1 or 2 times and you're gonna cut him for that. I mean,
It's this sport is very political and very biased, and
Oh,
I
fuck yeah.
again I'm gonna
Fuck
state
yeah.
one more time as why one of the reasons why I was released from the UFC is I do believe they're gonna slowly start cutting the division again because I believe they released somebody else who had multiple finishes. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name, but it was a white guy. I can't remember his name, but he ended up getting released, and it's like, dude, you had a good record. I believe you were ranked, and because his contract ended, they're like, yeah, we're good. You know, and I'm afraid that they might start slowly cutting the division because, no offense, you know, everyone, the casual fans, want to see stand up or a quick, really cool submission, Demetrius Johnson fine armbar. But you know, Pantoja is a good champion, but he also might not be the most exciting champion. You know, he's a grappler. He wants to lay and prey on people, and obviously he's searching for submissions. And it's not that he's not; it's just sometimes you got to play it safe to get the win, like we're talking about. So
yep,
when you have
yep,
him, then you have Amir Albazi, who's another grappler. You had Mohamed Mokaev, who's another grappler. And there's other people in that division. The strikers are just getting out grappled, and it becomes a grappling division, and the UFC doesn't become exciting anymore. So it's like, what's next for the flyweight division? Is it going to slowly be released again, or because I think they only have 20 guys in the division again? You know, it's the smallest one out of all the weight classes. So that's the scary part of what's going to happen next. You know, they're trying to promote it, and Brandon Moreno Figueiredo did a good job, and that's why they had fucking 4 fights. But too much of a good thing sometimes eventually turns bad. So we'll see what happens next.
And you know what too? Like it's just a shame because the guy was 6th ranked. He beat the number 5 ranked guy, so he would have been in the top 5. That guy easily could have got the title, but it is what it is. And then you look at the bantamweight division. Holy fuck, that
Oh, it's
division
stacked.
is just fucking insanity. Shorty, right now, if you're in that UFC right now and you had to fight any of those guys, what would be your thoughts right now? If you're in the next top 10 right now with all those guys, what would be your initial thoughts having to fight every single one of them?
I wouldn't be worried. The only two I would be worried about would probably be Sean O'Malley and Jose Aldo. Just because Jose Aldo fucking hits hard as shit. Like that dude just pushes. Given I'd have a lot better time now compared to when he was in his prime. Holy fuck, that guy was unstoppable.
Yeah,
Chan Mendes couldn't take him out. Like I'm for sure, no offense to myself, not taking him out. But the fact is, Jose Aldo is still phenomenal. Look at what he did to Jonathan Martinez, and I respect that guy a
yep,
lot too. And
yeah,
he was able to take out a kid in his prime. It's like, dude, that's phenomenal. But I think Sean O'Malley is a good champion. He's very long and keeps his distance and length and range management really, really well. And his rhythm is so it's not even awkward. It's just so distinct to him that it's hard to figure
exactly.
out. So
Mhm.
I think the bantamweight division, I mean, to me, it's another division. There's some good guys, there's some bad guys, and there's some guys that I believe are going to be phenomenal one day. But I think I would fare fine. The only problem is all of them typically have big names. And even with me, when I was Brave champion, I was like, oh, I want to try to maybe make it back to the UFC, the bantamweight division, just to have some fun. And they're like, yeah, dude, we're not interested. We have so many guys lined up, especially with the Contender Series too, that it doesn't make sense for them to sign other champs from different promotions when they can sign probably just as good fighters that are probably even younger for way
Yeah.
less money. So it becomes a process. But I think I think the main event for the spear, I think was it Sean O'Malley, Marab is a very good fight. I can definitely tell you one thing. I think stylistically, Sean O'Malley dominates. But, and there's the big but, is Marab, if he can take those shots, dude, he is such a fucking tank. It is ridiculous. Like he is the littlest. He's not even horribly strong. He's strong, but he is just conditioning tank that like he will outwork the fuck out of it. There's only one pace and it's 10. Like it's just
Yeah.
1 to 10, it's 10 the entire time. There's no transition. So if you can
Yeah,
endure that for 1 or 2 rounds and finish them, awesome. But if you can't, dude, you're fucked.
yeah. You stuff one of his takedowns, you better be ready because he has about 35 more ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't he get the record for the most takedowns in one fight? Like
Yeah,
he's
dude,
like,
it's
fuck it, I'll
something
just get one
crazy.
more.
Yeah, it's something crazy. I mean, and for him to handle Cejudo the way he did, that's a Olympic gold medalist.
Oh yeah.
That's what really impressed me. Like I was watching that fight and to see him, secure that takedown on him and run him all the way across the cage. I was like, come on, that's saying something right there. I mean,
Oh, for sure. And to me, like I train with Marab. Like, and I know some people again, like I see him spar with Patchy. I see him spar with other long people getting ready for Sean O'Malley, and I'm like, man, Marab gets hit a lot, or this happens, excuse me, that happens. Out of nowhere, like after the first round, these guys are like, fuck, dude, we can't run as much, or oh my gosh, like I'm dying out because he's muffing my punches. He's just putting pressure on me, and eventually people fold. And some people it takes longer to get them to fold, but Marab has just that pressure, and that's why I say because Cejudo caught him a couple times too. Patchy, or excuse me, not Patchy, Sean O'Malley is going to do that. Can
of
Marab
course,
withstand that and push forward? And that's the biggest thing to find out in the
Yeah.
first 2 rounds.
agreed.
So Gabe, I know you're still an amateur. So first part I'm gonna ask, and then I'll get to the second. So you're still an amateur. Do you have any plans to go pro soon, or what's the plans going forward?
I'm in my first professional fight camp as we speak. I
Oh, okay, great.
signed a 4-fight deal with King of the Cage.
Oh, excellent.
Nice.
Nothing
And
crazy. I'm just trying to, do what I need to do and slowly climb the radar and hopefully put these guys away one by one.
yeah, so Gabe, being an amateur, so you're going to be going for your pro debut. Has there been things, obviously, as a amateur, it's your time to fix. It's like being an amateur. It's your time to kind of figure out whether it's style or figure out, learning and obviously it's not going on your pro record. So is there habits that you're making right now? So when you do go pro, you're not carrying those bad habits going into your pro career.
Of course. So I've had 11 fights on the amateur scene. I ended my amateur career as number one in the USA, Mexico, Latin America, and 205 division and heavyweight division. My first like 5, 6 fights, man. I mean, I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I was training out of my garage. You know, I had no coach at all. I didn't meet a coach for, you know, obviously I've wrestled, you know, I've wrestled my majority of my life, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu 5, 6 years, but I've never really had like a striking coach or anything like that. So I didn't meet my first coach until 2022 when I represented Team USA in the IMAF Pan American Championships down in Mexico. I took a short notice fight in Arkansas against an undefeated wrestler. And it just so happened that Joe Stevenson, that's my head coach now, he was a special guest commentator there, and he was the director for Team USA. And after I beat this guy, he came up, introduced himself, and said he wanted me to represent the 93 kilogram class for Team USA. And a month later, I was out at his gym in California training. And so really, realistically, until 2022, I didn't really have a coach. So I'm for sure in the gym. You know, I'm 3 times a day. Just started up 3 days again, getting ready for my professional debut. And I train at American Elite here in Oklahoma City. Really good gym, top MMA gym in the state. And, you know, I have some dogs in there. And all of September, I'll be flying back out to Joe, and Dominic Reyes is my main training partner out there.
Nice.
So obviously, he gives me a lot of work, you know, really good mentor, teaches me, you know, he's at the highest level there is, you know, so there's no one else better to train with and learn from. We cross train down in Dan Henderson's gym as well. People like Jared Vandera and some other top regional prospects are there. So basically, no matter where I'm going, I'm going to be getting a lot of good work. So I'm for sure, you know, doing my best to, you know, sharpen the blades as much as I can before this next pro debut coming up.
Nice, man. It's funny. So small world. I trained with Joe Stevenson at the training lab in Anaheim, California, when TD Dillashaw started his
Oh,
gym. So that's how I know him. And it's funny because I knew it's Joe's daddy Stevenson, right?
yes,
Well,
sir.
I didn't know. And so I'd be like, "What's up, Big Daddy? What's up, Big Daddy?" And everyone's like, "Dude, it's just Daddy. It's just Daddy." I was like, "No, I'm short. It's Big Daddy to me." Like, it's fucking hilarious. You know, so he's a really cool guy, very smart, very fun, and dude, he knows his shit. Like he knows his
Dude,
shit. And Dom and I, we met, and I'm actually good friends with him now when he goes to the Extreme. But um, we both went to Curtis Blades' wedding at the time,
oh,
and
cool.
coincidentally, Curtis didn't have his wedding. Like I showed up, I was like, okay. I was like, man, I haven't seen anything about like the wedding where it's gonna be at, but I'm already on the plane, I already headed to Colorado. And out of nowhere, Curtis is like, "Oh, dude, I forgot to tell you, I canceled it. I'm not getting married anymore." I was like, "Oh, well, fuck. I'll see you in Colorado." And Curtis told no one. So Dom, being one of Curtis's friends, drove up somewhere south, somewhere in Texas or Oklahoma. I don't know where he's from, but he drove all the way up, and he's like, "Well, I guess I'm here for the weekend." So Dom and I ended up hanging out, just catching up and having some fun. But dude, I'm really happy for Dom. So technically, we have to give you a little bit of credit for his last win because that's huge for Dom, man, to be able to get back in the cage and break his
Yeah.
losing streak and just kind of revitalize himself because he definitely looked like a different person.
Bro, he's such a phenomenal athlete, man. Like, you know, I know he's been on this losing streak this past couple fights, but bro, I promise you, he will bounce back, and he will fight for the title. I truly, with everything in my heart, I truly believe he's on his way back. You know, he's doing the proper steps, and he's taking care of himself. He's doing everything right. You know, I truly believe that we're going to see the Dominic Reyes, John Jones fight Dominic Reyes. You know, he never left. He's just back. He's better. He's ready. He's locked in, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him in September so we can train some more.
Well, we
You
see.
know,
Yeah. So,
go ahead, Luke.
well, I was just gonna say it quickly, like we've seen it before with other fighters. I mean, I know like with the like heavyweight champ there, I know like he got beat by John Jones. He had to work his way up. He won the guy won the belt at like 42 years old. Um, and I think Dominic Reyes, I truly believe you have every opportunity to win the belt. Now I don't know if it was a mental factor, but yeah, he came back and he looked like the old Dom Reyes that I believe in my heart. I mean, I got respect for John Jones. Despite his legal stuff and whatnot. But as a fighter, I respect him as a fighter
Of
and
course,
everything. As a person, I believe he still lost that fight. I think Dominic Reyes beat him 3-2 in that fight. I mean,
agreed.
I don't know if that was the first fight where I really saw John Jones like get outstruck and out. Like it looked like he got
It was
outclassed on the feet.
volume, man, dude. It was
No,
volume.
no doubt. And unfortunately, apparently it was too close to the fight, and they gave the fight to the champ. But yeah, I'm really super excited, and I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let Shorty chat here.
You know, the cool thing about for you, Gabe, is being able to train against a guy who fought for the belt and was
Yeah.
also on a losing streak, but against the top guys. It wasn't like he was
Of
just losing
course.
some random bums. Like he's losing to the top guys and now coming back against another top contender. It's like you get that mindset of everything from behind
Hmm.
the scenes because you also see him training. You see his struggle.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know how close you guys are, but maybe he does open up to you and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know you were going through that. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was part of the situation that maybe is a mental hindrance of your career. Because, and I'm pretty sure you face your own bullshit. Like that's life, you know?
Yes, sir.
And you look at Khabib Nurmagomedov. This is my prime example. I was supposed to fight for the Brave Flyweight title a few years back. And sadly, my father passed away. But I'm like, dude, I'll still, fight and I'll be fine. 3 weeks later, I go to fight and I was having panic attacks. Like there was a lot of shit affecting my weight cut. I'm like, dude, I don't even want to fight anymore. I can make the weight, but if I make weight, I'm so mentally broken that like I can't do it. And pretty much what I wanted to do was exactly what Khabib did. Hopefully, holding all my emotions, focus on training, do the fight, and once the fight was over, just break down, cry, and finally, give myself proper time to grieve. And I was just like, son of a bitch. Like, yeah, I know it's Khabib Nurmagomedov, but this is where my respect went from here to here.
Of
Was
course. Yeah.
Khabib is great no matter what, but when you completely understand the process you're going through, because my dad was there every day of my life too. I'm just like, damn, that's how much more mentally strong this man was to prepare for such a crazy, crazy thing where mine is still crazy, but not to that extent. And I couldn't do it. And so I had to work on my mental health. And I believe that's something that Dom has been really trying to focus on as well, where it's like, now I'm there. That's why, like, especially after his last fight, you just see him so positive. Like, he's glowing. Like,
Yes.
he's just like
Yes.
a ball of energy. And I'm happy for him, dude.
Yeah.
I'm in. Honestly, technically, you're a Spartan partner. So you have to give yourself some credits because you're part of it. You might not be helping him again. I don't know how close you are, but you're helping him get back into that winning circle. So that, dude, it's an awesome honor. And for you, you get to learn and just take notes, read the blueprint and go through
Exactly.
your own little path.
Yeah. It's changed my life being able to, be a student under Joe and have all these access to all these high level fighters. We became really good friends, Dom and I, and I'm for sure blessed with the opportunity that, like you said, not just anyone gets to train like that. So I'm for sure taking full advantage of it. And like you said, my notepad is out. I'm ready to take notes for sure.
Well, that's awesome, man. Luke?
And I guess I gotta ask. So, I think and I know kind of Shorty kind of touched upon, you get to see the behind the scenes, but I think too when you have someone that's taken on as kind of like your mentor too, because he's fought for world title, he went on a run to the title, he fought for the title, he lost, and he went on a bit of a losing streak, and you see how much he's had to fight, like crawl back and get a win and look like he was the guy who beat John Jones in my eyes years ago. Do you feel like that's done? Obviously, he's your mentor, but do you feel like that's kind of helped you prepare for your pro career? So this is reality of a fighter. It can't all be wins. It can't all be high highs.
Sunshine and
Sometimes you're
rainbows.
gonna
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes you have to hit a low, and you have that mentor to show you that this is what you need to do to get back. And sometimes it's good to see someone go through that. And once you see it, you don't have a yes man here. So do you feel like that helps you prepare?
I think of course, I think it speaks volumes about someone, to go on a 3 fight losing streak and everybody in the world is counting you out and, you know, talking on social media and to bounce back the way he did. It speaks volumes and it just goes to show you what type of person he is, like, because not everybody can do that. It takes a special person to be able to rebound like that and
Mm-hmm.
improve in all aspects and continue to put yourself out there and, become the fighter and show the world you're still the same, still that same fighter. So yeah, for sure, has shown me a lot, and just goes to show me, just like you said, the highs and the lows. That's just how the fight game is, and you have to be ready to handle that adversity whenever it comes, and you know, take it on the chin and keep moving forward.
So I just want to ask one more thing. So with obviously you being an amateur, I would like to know how did you get connected with Lenny from MMA Unhinged? Did he contact you? Did you get reach with him? I know you guys are kind of become buddies now. So how did that kind of
Yeah,
start up?
Yeah, man. I'm all about marketing myself and trying to get my name out there. I literally called out the entire United States 205-pound division, and I was getting no fights anywhere. So I ended up bumping up, and I fought for the California state title up a weight class. So my thought was, I'm gonna try to reach out to as many podcast groups, many interviewers as I can, get my name out there, let everybody try to know who my name is and what I'm wanting to do. I kind of took it like a marketing tour to see if I could help me get more fights. More people who know my name, maybe the more people would want to fight me.
That's
And I think
phenomenal.
that's yeah, and I think that's one thing that currently I'm in talks. So interesting enough, there's this promotion in Ontario. It's called BTC Fight Promotions, and it's more of like a regional circuit. And the guy that he's actually the matchmaker for BTC, his name's Woodrow James. And and interesting enough, a small world, he actually lives five houses down from me.
Oh my
Crazy world.
gosh.
I know. Like I actually didn't even know this. So we were actually shooting the shit, and we're like, he was talking about he was putting out all the fights, and he said, "Hey man, I know you've done stuff with us in the past. I know you did a live event with us. I really appreciate what you do. You're really helping some of these guys who might be 2-1 or 5-0. I know some of the guys like their champs are like 10, 15-0. Like these guys could be going up to like maybe bigger promotions, but." With this upcoming card, I think the guys that are headlining are maybe like 6-0 or something. So they're at that part where they could be going for a belt or something like that. And he just said, I really appreciate it. And I say, yeah, no problem. And so it's like, you're from Corona, right? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, me too. I'm like, no shit. Really? He's like, yeah. And then to find out he's 5 houses down. Anyway, so it's kind of cool that like kind of small world. But we were talking about how like it's interesting how like how with the fighters, how a lot of them it's hard for these guys that are only 2-1 or 3-1 to really get the media. So I think it's really good on you, Gabe, because you're still an amateur and you haven't even gone to pro, and how much you've got your name out there. Like I've heard you I've seen that you've done a lot of stuff with I want to say not I don't know if you talked with James Lynch, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
James
Yep.
Lynch. Okay, you talked with James
Phenomenal
Lynch, and I
guy.
think yeah, he's a great guy,
Awesome
and
guy. Awesome guy.
I know you've done stuff with him, Shorty. But there's another kid. I can't even think of his name right now, but he always has a
Rush.
hat on. What's Rush? Yeah, Rush. And I've seen you done stuff with him, and he's doing really well. So I'm really glad to see that you're really pushing yourself out there because, yeah, I think like, and I've talked with Woodrow about this, about how some of these guys are just starting out, especially in the GTA region. They're unfortunately because they got such small records, they don't always get the same camera time as some of the guys are either the champs of a regional circuit or they're going to Bellator or they're going to UFC, whatever, and they don't get the same opportunities. So he's like really appreciative. So I think it's really cool, Gabe, that you've really marketed yourself that way and getting to know who you are, getting people to know who you are even before you even get to the pro scene.
Yeah. I mean, I really, I take a lot of pride in my amateur resume. I know that might sound silly, but I really, man, I tried the hardest I could to take the toughest fights I possibly could, because like you said earlier, that's exactly what amateur career's for. You kind of find out a little bit about yourself. Uh, I fought the toughest and toughest prospects that I could possibly find my last probably 5 or 6 fights. And I just feel like it's time to get paid. I don't want to do this shit for free no more. I have 2 kids of my own. Um, I'm just gonna try to get in and get out. My entire goal for all of this. I can't say I don't love it. Because obviously if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing it. But you know, I'm not trying to become world champion right now. Obviously, if it leads to that, then I'm gonna give it my all. Obviously, but I'm just trying to change the financial future of my kids, man. That's really what I'm trying to do. I feel like God gave me these skills to do, and if I don't at least attempt to try, it'd just be a waste. So I'm gonna give it my all I got. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, at least I can say I tried and will have no regrets.
Yeah, I was about to say that, man. You're trying. No matter what avenue it is, you're trying, and that's all that matters. And yeah, sure, there could be, woulda, shoulda, couldas or better ways, but at that moment, you did the best you could and you've been trying your best. And that's all that matters, especially since you have kids. It's like, dude, I don't believe I have any kids, so I can't really say much, but dude, that's a motivator for you, right? It's like you
Of
want to
course,
feed them, you
yes.
want to be a role model. Like again, worse is the worst. Daddy's trying, and we want you to try too eventually. So it's like whatever goal you want to achieve. So dude, that's awesome. And I think at least when I was amateur turning pro, I was Mr. Yes Man. I got lucky that my promotion had a PR guy that reached out to us and like, hey, can you do this interview? And I said yes to everything.
Yeah.
Like rest in peace, Brian Levick. But dude, I think I did like 50 some interviews, and that was the very first fight in the card. And I did more interviews in the main event, which was Tim Elliott versus Pedro Nobre at the time. And I did more interviews than both of them combined. And I was just like, I just want to promote myself. Like I
Of
just want to
course.
talk. That time I met James Lynch. That time, I met a lot of people at MMA Unhinged and MMA Fighting and all these different platforms. And, eventually getting up to Ariel Hawani, like, dude, you say yes, you never know where networking can take you. Especially
Exactly.
job opportunity wise or for you trying to find a fight. Like, oh, dude, we have a last minute replacement. Actually, I know this guy, Gabe Rednose. He's been looking for a fight. He's always set. Like that, you just never know. So you just saying yes is already putting you ahead a lot in the competition. So that's phenomenal.
Thank you. I started this thing in 2018, just coming out of college wrestling. I dropped out of college, wasn't for me, and I had a few buddies on the regional circuit here, and they'd always ask me to come in and help me with the wrestling or whatever. So I just thought, I
What
might as
what school did you wrestle at in college?
just a little junior college in Colorado called La Junta, is Otero Junior College.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. I basically just went up there and slacked off. If I'm being honest with you, that's one of my biggest regrets is not, I wanted All American so bad, even if it was out of junior college, I didn't care. That was a goal of mine, and I fucked it all up and doing shit I wasn't supposed to. And my first real time being away from my parents, being away from my family, in a different state, and got the best of it,
Yeah.
like you said, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Again, you're off the leash, and that's why I say like you have all this freedom and have all this power, mentally. That's why again I bring back to the Muhammad Mokaev thing where I'm like, he was a kid. Come on, man,
Yep,
he's still young. Like and obviously
yep,
we get older and we're like, God, that was kind of dumb. But I didn't know any better. No one told me. No one was guiding me. No one was helping me. So it is
exactly.
what it is. Two things with that. One, obviously, you get to tell your kids and figure stuff out for them later on in their future. But then two, it's not like you're old by any means. Like you have nothing but time. Yeah, sure, dude. Technically, whenever you want, you can go back to college and you can still wrestle. So in all
Yeah,
technicality, that's still there. You don't have any seasons used up, so you have technically 5 seasons, and one of them being a red shirt. So with all that being said, like you can still technically do that, but also still try to pursue this MMA fighting career of yours and see where it goes from there. So woulda, shoulda, coulda, but there's always still possibility, and I think that's a blessing in disguise as well because you got the knowledge from everything too.
yes, sir. I agree with you. So we'll see. I give you guys my word. I'm going to give this, give this my all. I've dedicated a lot of my time, blood, sweat, and tears, just like you have. You know how it goes, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it's all God's plan. I'm just trusting that, and I'm just going to leave it at that. If it's meant to be, it will be. I'm just going to keep my nose to the grindstone and keep showing up, and if it's meant to be, it will be.
And keep that red nose up. That's all you got to do. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So Gabe, I gotta ask, you being at a higher weight class there, what's kind of like your food to go to after each fight?
It kind of sucks, man, because I say it sucks. I've been bumped up a weight class my entire life. My freshman year wrestling, I was 195 pounds. They bumped me up to 220. Okay, so I could eat whatever I wanted then. Then when I was weighing like 218, right under that 220 limit, I got bumped up to heavyweight. So I was wrestling at 265. So I never really had to, cut a lot of weight through my wrestling years. And I actually got up just to go a different avenue for a second. At my worst, I got up to 300 pounds, 298 pounds, just fat, lazy piece of shit, man. Just Alabama sweat hog, bro. Just terrible. And then I became a father, and I knew I had to lead by example. And right then, I looked in the mirror from that day, and I knew in that moment, bro, it was over. I lost 100 pounds, got back down to 200 pounds. I got all the way down to 196 pounds at 9% body fat. For a fat guy, seeing a little bit of abs, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm floating around 220, and with me losing all that weight, bro, I can't really eat like near what I used to be able to. A lot has changed, like with my diet and like my digestive tract. So it's lucky that I've never really been a guy that likes a bunch of sweets and cake. You know, I'd always just eat a bunch of food. You know, I didn't really know what portion control was. For
I'm just on the
example,
side like
Yeah, what are you
no,
eating there, Shorty? What do you got there?
little biscuits. Oh, hold on.
I
Little
like it.
chocolate crispy biscuit. I don't know what they eat. I don't even know what these things are called, but I love them. European biscuits. All right, continue. I'm sorry, Gabe. I'm
no,
fat.
you're good. You're good. But it's like, you know, I didn't know portion control. So when we were having for dinner, if we were eating spaghetti, I would eat 3 plates of spaghetti, and it's like, no, that's not how this works. So once I learned a little bit about portion control, I lost that 100 pounds, and I'm just trying to lead by example the best I can. So no foods really. Usually I'll try to carb up when I cut down to 205, but hopefully after these 4 fights, it'll be time for me to maybe get picked up by a bigger promotion, and the drop to 185 is pretty realistic. So I'm trying to not get too heavy. 220 is about like the heaviest I'm going to get. So maybe I'll start walking around 210 soon, and you know how it goes. Slowly start making that drop, and eventually make that cut to 85 when the time is right.
For sure. Well, listen, gents.
I see Luke the sweaty pig comment got to you.
Oh, I just like no, I like it. No,
Like you could tell he was the camera just trying not to laugh and like make any noise. And I was like, yeah, no, he's a Southern boy. There you go.
There you go.
For sure.
He's from the South. All right, you hear?
For sure. I knew that.
Well,
I knew you guys would chuckle on that. A lot of people do.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
No, it's just a funny saying. Like I'll call my friends that. If they're eating a bunch or whatever, I'd always tease them and call them a fat Alabama sweat hog.
Oh, so that's what I am. Huh.
Look at just chowing down on the chocolate. Anyway, gents, we're running up on time here. Gabe, it's a pleasure having you on, man, and I really appreciate you reached out to us and you wanted to come on, and that's awesome, and I'm really glad that we were able to give you a platform here, and it's a pleasure having you on. It's nice to have someone on, starting their career and starting right from the beginning, and I really value that. So I appreciate it, and we appreciate you always coming on MMA Unhinged and letting us interview you at times as well. So much appreciated. And Shorty, it's great. We actually are basically in the same time zone for once, so that's always nice. So that's always nice, and I appreciate you always coming on here and doing your thing. And I gotta ask before we go, how was the commercials?
They were cool. The only hard part was there was some miscommunication. So, Gabe, random side note, I just shot 2 commercials this weekend, and for a doctor. The problem was they booked me in to fly like a red-eye flight, so you land the next day. And my flight got delayed, so I landed in Florida at 2 a.m. And they're like, dude, I just want to let you know, we leave at 9 a.m. on our own business trip, so we have to shoot the commercials now. And I'm like,
Oh,
what? And so I'm like, fuck. And they're like, did you get the script? I'm like, no, dude, I was on a plane the whole time. They're like, oh, well, here's the script. I'm like, and they just put me in front of the camera, and I'm like, all right, let me read this real fast. Let me try to cram it in like a test. I'm like, and so, I'm trying to like rehearse. And I'm like, fuck. What was the line again? Yeah, and I just kept on going back and forth. So it was hard at first because I fucking hate scripts. No matter how long or short the script is, I hate them. Like, I love improving. And then after that, once the script part was done, the whole commercial flowed because a lot of B-roll, him checking me out and breaking my legs and all this other stuff. So it was a lot of fun. But it's done. It's complete. I'm a superstar. I can't do this anymore. I'm too good for you guys. I'm sorry. And I'm out. No.
No problem. Well, Gabe, like I said,
yeah.
I appreciate you again coming on, and Shorty, again, I appreciate you coming on. You're gonna be eating that chocolate there. It looks pretty good.
Yeah,
great.
thank you guys for giving me this platform to come on and hang out with you guys for a while. I enjoyed myself, and I really appreciate you guys and your content. You guys always make me laugh, so I really appreciate that. And let's reconnect after I put an elbow through this guy's face and get my hand raised. October 10th, live on Pluto TV.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
He already knows his stuff.
That's how you end. That's how you end the show. I'm gonna fucking knock somebody out. I like it.
Let's do it. Thank you guys very much. I truly appreciate it. God bless, guys.